The broadcast is live.
Yay! It does says that. Well,
It says that, but
hello there.
hang on. YouTube is
Wait.
not showing me us.
Oh, wait. What? YouTube,
It's
what
fine.
are
I
you
got
doing?
it. No, it's fine. I figured it. It was just I needed to reload. Now
Okay.
we're live.
We're
Do you
live?
think
Okay.
we should wait for people?
With my fantastic Val, hello there.
Hang on.
I
just
am
opening tabs and stuff. We are live. Please come hang out. We're just going to sit here until somebody turns up. Like, hello. Yeah.
I mean, we can probably start.
Could do.
Yeah. Yeah. We can do our little ritual and just, go from
I've
there.
gone out of there we go.
There you go.
I went out of focus.
That's just for a second. So the first thing first is, well, hello there.
Hi.
We
haven't actually spoken in like over a week now.
I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. I mean, come on. But soon we're gonna meet.
Yeah, we are.
Very exciting.
I take it very recently.
Yes, because I was like, Katie, Charlie Cox is coming,
and I went okay, and immediately bought it. It was Charlie Cox is coming. He's like, how much is it? And it's like £60. It's like, oh, okay, it's affordable. We'll do it then.
I'm not gonna lie, I am highly considering it, but I think what I will actually do is that I will finish my Daredevil drawing and I will just visit him at the autograph table and just give it to him, because one of my biggest regrets is that I always had a Daredevil drawing and I didn't take it to Betrayal because both times I forgot. And I was like, shit.
Yeah, easy to do.
Yeah, so I will do it now. That's gonna be my mission, and hopefully I can do the same with Tom Hiddleston, because now I actually have more lucky drawings as well. So
you're gonna pay the extortionate amount that goes.
No.
Just take it over. Hello.
I
like
am just,
chat, please.
Yes, I am just hoping, because they usually are really nice about these things, that if you want to just give them something and you don't want an autograph, you can have like a few minutes with them.
Okay. So one would hope.
Yeah, one would hope. We will see. I have the the certificate that I am all jabbed up and everything, so
as do I.
Yes, so we should be fine on that point, and then hopefully they're gonna be like, yeah, sure, give it to him, and then just a few words, few tiny words. Do you want to introduce our podcast?
Just as soon as I finish tweeting from our account to try and get people to come and say hello to us.
Okay. I just dropped my glasses.
Live theatre.
Oh God. Glasses, come back. Got them. They're still alive.
We're good. Okay. Right. Oh,
sorry.
What made that noise?
It was my phone and it scared me.
I was like, none of these things should be making those noises. Anyway, hi everyone. Welcome to All the Films We Judged Before. I'm Katie, and that is Lily Kay. I'm sorry, they've flipped my camera around on this software we're using.
Really?
And I'm used to actually just pointing in the direction of where the camera is. Where I look at it, so I point in that direction, but it's not doing that because it's flipped and it's very annoying. None of this matters. Hi everyone. We're here. And that is Lily's arm. God damn it.
It's a beautiful arm.
It is a beautiful arm. Look at that. Look at that artwork.
It's now the plan is that this is obviously Bucky and Steve, and I'm gonna do the falcon wings around it.
Oh, sweet.
Yes,
that's a good idea.
The plan. But my tattoo artist is still on leave, so I'm like, maybe later then. One day, sadly. But yes, that's the beautiful Katie. I don't know what you said about me, but I will say this.
I think I just said it was Lily Kay.
That's still the beautiful Katie. So I will ask that, what did you watch lately?
Well, most of what I've been watching is to do with today's episode, so I'll wait to talk about that stuff.
Yes.
And say I just finished. I literally today just finished rewatching The Witcher, and it is good, despite what Lily says. She's not even watched it properly. She gets no opinion in this matter.
Yes, I do. It's bad.
You don't. You've not watched it properly.
I watched the first 20 minutes and I nearly died.
20 minutes?
Yes, it was horrible.
You can't... I'm doing the Jamie Lee Curtis meme where she's like... Wait. You didn't even get to the best part, which is the fight scene at the end of the episode 1. Of episode 1. The best part of episode 1, which is the fight scene at the end of episode 1. Your phone is going to keep making me jump if it keeps doing that.
I'm sorry. I will mute it. Muted. Done.
Plus, Yaskia's in episode 2, and you haven't even met Yaskia yet, and he's great. And it's kind of the whole reason I watched the whole thing again, because there's they came up with that trailer during Tudum, which we haven't spoken about yet. We could do that in a second.
That's true.
They came out with a new trailer, and they showed us 3 frames of Yaskia, and I went, I have to watch the entire series again now, because it has been over a year since I watched it first, so I was like, I need a refresher, and it's great. It really is good. I think that the first episode is vaguely slow, but it gets better.
It's horrible. The acting is horrible. Everything is horrible in it. They seriously.
You said you were gonna give it a chance. You told me.
Fine. Oh God, I will suffer for you.
It boggles my mind. I don't see how you think it's bad.
Well, let's see. I read the books. The books are great.
I do want to read the books, it's true.
It's really good. I played the game, and then this came out, and the first sentence I read about it is, "This is the next Game of Thrones."
Well,
and it's not.
It's no.
It's not. Not even close. It's like, no.
I just hate that people keep being like, this is the next Game of Thrones. Speaking of, they just came out with a teaser for the next Game of Thrones.
I know. I was like,
I haven't watched it because I don't give a shit about Game of Thrones.
See,
hey, I never said Game of Thrones. Hey, I never said Game of Thrones was bad. I just don't care about it.
How can you not care?
There's a difference.
Game of Thrones is great. It's fantastic. It's amazing, except for the last season. But we don't care about that. It's just the previous ones. It's just.
I got nothing for you when it comes to Game of Thrones. Yeah, I tried it. I just sort of didn't go back to it. It didn't grab me personally. See how I'm talking about my own experience with it, not how I think the thing is bad.
Fine. I will.
Anyway.
I will suffer at one point, but I already stressed.
Honest to God, I think the second episode in particular was well, actually no. Second episode suddenly comes in as weirdly funny in places, and I think that's because they bring Yaskia in, who is very funny, and I love Joey Basie very dearly. But episode 5 is the adaptation, because you've read the books, is the one the story of the Djinn.
Oh.
And how he meets Yennefer. And it's a very good episode. Genuinely is such a good episode. Hello.
Is that David?
I was going to ask that myself.
David, is that you? Where have you been?
Welcome. Hiya.
We love you, David. Hope you're good. We missed your face.
What was I saying? Anyway, yeah, which was good, despite the fact that Lily won't give it a chance.
I will. Okay, fine. I will watch it. But if I suffer, we're gonna meet, and I'm gonna be.
Hey, and I said this the last time when we tried to get when we talk about it. If you don't like it after you finish the entire first season, I won't bother you about it again. I understand at that point. I just don't think you can judge a thing entirely within the first 20 minutes.
Fine.
Personally.
Fine.
That's just where I stand with this sort of thing. Anyway, I finished that. What else did I do? It's mostly been what we're talking about today, to be honest. other than all the stuff at Tudum. I still don't think it's a T. I still think it's a D sort of sound. I think it's Dudum, but let's not go there. Netflix.
That's fine.
The very exciting thing that came out was the Cowboy Bebop opening sequence.
It's so perfect.
I mostly think it's great. I love everything they've done with it, but there are bits and pieces of it that feel a little bit cringy. Like there's just a bit, like a couple of bits and pieces that don't quite work in like a live action way. I'm thinking mostly of like some of the movement. Like there's a bit right at the beginning when you see Spike running across in silhouette and it just looks stupid. But I like a lot of there's like lots of little Easter eggs in there and all that sort of stuff. And I watched it about 5 times because I was like, ah. So that's coming out next month. I can never.
Next one,
yeah,
it's
November, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm.
So that'd be very exciting. But I feel like I'll just ask and rebuttal the question back to you and say, what have you been watching, if anything? Because you've been very busy. I know that for sure.
Yeah. I've watched a lot of Marvel because I was drawing, spent the entire weekend drawing. I spent the last few days drawing, and I just had my iPad on and I was just watching Marvel. I watched my favorite things, like, I didn't make the mistake and I didn't watch Endgame while drawing. I actually took the time, sat down.
So here's the thing. I was with Leanne last week because that was Leanne was filming her short film for her master's degree that she'd been working very hard on. It's really good, you guys. So when it comes out, I'll be promoting it actually. But I saw your tweet about watching Infinity War whilst drawing, and I just threw it like out loud to Leanne. Went, why would she do this?
Because I'm
she
stupid.
Should know better.
I was in here. I was drawing Tom Holland when the scene came up, and I was like,
fool.
Absolute I must.
Fool.
I must.
No.
Don't look at it.
Hey, Michael, welcome.
Hello, Michael. And so I saved the drawing. I saved it. But he said I don't want to go, and I was like, done. Just done. And then Steve just sits down and he's like, oh God. And I'm like, oh God. And I immediately had to start Endgame. I was like, thank you, Michael. You're the sweetest. Michael is loving my TikToks. I have a TikTok account. It's the Art of Lily, so it's the same as everywhere. Please follow me. I'm funny. And sometimes not.
I do like some of your little TikToks that you put on Instagram. I will continue to refuse to get TikTok because I know for one thing I'll just waste my life on it, but also
it's very
interesting. I feel like a lot of the interesting TikToks end up off of the platform on other websites anyway, so I don't feel the need to get it.
I mean, that's true. There are some very great creators that I really like there, and I like to catch their little stuff there. So
there's a couple of people that I've kind of come across online. Like there's a guy called Tyler who does these great little, like, he's just funny. But I follow him on Instagram and he puts a lot of his TikToks up on Instagram anyway. But nice. He's great. I can't remember his last name, which is the very annoying thing. It begins with a G or something like that. He's got this amazing hair and it's just I think I'm gonna have to find his name now. But there's another guy called Bill and D Hollis who does these little cooking videos.
Oh yes,
finds these these old recipes. They're just so good.
It is great. It is great.
I must find this guy so I actually can give his name properly.
Okay. I really like Call Me Chris. She's great.
I think is how you say his name, Gaka.
Okay. I don't know him, but I will look it up.
He's Ghost Honey on TikTok. There you go.
Oh.
That's how you know. He's got like this incredible mustache and like incredibly beautiful long hair, and he's also just really fucking funny.
Nice. I will check him out.
Anything.
I will check him out. Yeah, it's very addicting. That's I hate to admit it, but it is, and it's like you feel the pressure that if you start putting up videos yourself, which I'm doing as well, it's like, what should I do next? And sometimes that's the most annoying part, that the ones that I put a lot of effort in are just not doing well, like never. And then the ones that I just like do like they are like get like 600 and 1,000 likes, and I'm like, fine, I guess.
Yeah, I can't. I will not. I cannot be doing this. Absolutely not.
Fine.
I'm not doing it.
I will share the funniest bits in anyway, so you can catch up with that.
I see the ones that you post on your Instagram account, so
I like it. What were we talking about?
I asked you what you were watching, and you said you were watching. Then you said you immediately went into Endgame.
Yes, I properly watched that. Like I was like fully boosting the audio. I was crying at the fight scene as I always do. And then when Tony dies, I cried again. When Ned dies, so I was crying all the way. You know how it goes. I love it. Like still, it's just and I just didn't go in any order. I just watched what I wanted to watch. So I ended up watching.
Did you say Ned?
No, Ned. Natasha.
Nat. I was like, what? Nat. I see. I understand now. I was like, who the Ned?
No, not that.
I was so confused. My camera went out of focus.
It felt the pain. It's my broken English. Don't worry about it. What is it? So I watched Thor Ragnarok and then Guardians and Ant-Man, who I dearly love. And I don't understand people who don't like Ant-Man because I love Ant-Man.
I think the first Ant-Man movie is pretty great. Yes. My trouble with that Ant-Man movie is that I can see an Edgar Wright movie in it and it's not. So I can't love it as much as maybe I'd like to.
Fair. I mean, he's still the writer for it, so it's.
I know, but still... it's like they took the bones of his story and it's not exactly what he probably would have made it into.
Yeah.
So it's that whole, you get.
I know. It's I still really love it. So I watched a bunch of Marvel movies like while I was drawing. It's the best because if I am watching it like this, I actually end up drawing all day long, which I needed in this case because Comic-Con is right around the corner. I am very nervous. We just talked about it. So yeah, I watched a bunch of Marvel movies. I was very disappointed to find out that Venom is not coming out until the 14th.
We have to wait another couple of weeks. I'm so happy about the fact that like so many critics reviews are like, this is shit, and I'm like, yes, it must mean it's good.
Yes, exactly. I was like, yes. Even some of my friends were like,
movie. I'm like, score.
Exactly
what he wanted it to be then.
Yes. I am avoiding the spoiler for the mid-credit scene because I heard that it's amazing.
I've gotten like a sense of what it might be, but I don't know like anything specific about it. Just because Venom's been trending on Tumblr for like a lot recently, and I keep poking through just to see like people's reactions, and then there's like I've seen like a sense of what it is, but I don't know specifically what it is, if that makes sense. Like I don't know exactly what happens in it, but I have senses of what they've done in it.
I have a feeling that one of my favorite people, Jared Leto, has something to do with it because he creepily posted a Venom thing, and I was like, "Are you in it?" Because he rarely posts about movies, so I'm a bit suspicious. I'm like, unless it's his movie, it's it rarely happens. So I was like, interesting Venom post.
Yeah, I just have just been seeing a lot of things of just like I saw an interview with Tom Hardy where he said that he like the way that they went into this movie is they were like the critics didn't like it, but the audiences really liked it. So what is it that the audience really likes, and what can we do more of in that sense? So it's just like, yes, give me all of the Venom and Eddie just like married odd couple bullshit. That's the entire thing that I want from this movie. That's it. I want it to be stupid and completely ridiculous. And the plot doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. Michael says that I loved it. Lots of fun to watch. Good.
What we want.
Yeah, that's all we want.
I gotta rewatch the first one so I can remember how fucking batshit it is.
Oh, I rewatched it recently. It never gets old. It never gets old.
I keep meaning to do it. Hi, Matthew.
Hello.
Matthew is a friend of mine. We used to work together.
Oh, nice. Hi, Matthew.
Hi, Matthew. Welcome. We haven't started talking about anything to do
Mike
with the title
Flanagan.
yet, so we're good.
We're good. And what else? Oh, I watched The Turning, and I mean, I watched it. I fell asleep after 20 minutes because it's really bad, and I was like, I was only watching it from Finn Wolfhard, who I did love. I think that kid is great.
Oh, I feel like I read about this movie ages ago.
It's not good. It's horrible.
I think I saw it and thought, this doesn't look particularly good.
Nah. So I fell asleep on that. I watched The Guilty with Jake Gyllenhaal.
I watched that too. That's right. I knew I watched something else, but I did watch that.
Yes.
It's all right.
It was all right. This was the first time where I truly hated Jake Gyllenhaal's character. I was like,
he's a dick in it. Yeah,
he's a fucking dick.
I didn't realize he was going to be an asshole.
Like,
first 5 minutes, I was like, oh, this guy's awful.
Yeah. I was like, I have a really hard time connecting with you, my friend. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. He did a great job.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's great in it. Yeah,
he's freaking great. But I just couldn't feel for his character, and I think that was the goal of the whole movie. Like they didn't want us to particularly feel for him. Like you know, but I love the twist. I wasn't expecting it. I was like.
I think maybe I watched it in the wrong way because I did watch it. I watched it on my TV, but I watched it in the daytime, so I wasn't particularly. And I had the curtains open and everything, so I wasn't like that sucked into it as I have been with movies like that in the past. Yeah. So it didn't, because like I love those like really intense one room sort of things where it's just like a person and like a really tense situation that they're trying to sort out. Which is why I love Phone Booth so fucking much. That is a great movie. But this one, I was kind of sitting there going, "Oh, okay." And I heard the plot twist, and I was like, "Oh, huh, all right, yeah, pretty good."
It was pretty good.
All the performances there, I think the way that they made it is more interesting in some ways than the actual movie itself. In a lot of just the way that they actually did everything over phone calls with people coming in. So it's cool. Yeah, it's a pretty good movie if you fancy a little like 90-minute tense drama.
Yeah,
sneak it on.
Yeah, and after I yelled at you to watch Midnight Mass on Twitter
twice.
It
was 6 a.m. She tweeted me like, "You have to watch this show," and I went, "It's 6 a.m. I'm not replying to this yet." She then spent 3 hours later using our account going, "Hey, you have to watch Midnight Mass," and I was like, "Ma'am, I'm busy."
I couldn't help myself. I know that you didn't regret it, so I have good recommendations.
I will say, Michael, Lily's watched Squid Game. I haven't, just because I'm not quite in the emotional space to be watching something like that at the moment. It's not appealing to me currently, but I will get on it at some point because I know a lot of people are very on board with it.
Me included. I'm like, I am in love with it. I loved every single thing about it, and then it's just I have this, because I binge watched that as well, obviously, because I just couldn't stop it. Like it was the same with Midnight Mass, and I ended up binge watching Squid Game. I was up until 5 a.m. in the morning to finish it. Fun times, and I. And did not regret a minute of it. It's very good, very well done, like all Korean TV and movie. Tadam also announced that the director.
Oh right, yeah, the Hellhound thing. Is it called Hellhound?
Hellbound.
Hellbound. Oh, it was like it's something like Hell.
And then
Hellbound is one word, one letter difference.
Oh my god!
I'm very like, I don't know what to think about that, because it's got that same sort of very visceral violence that he does in Train to Busan, but those fucking monsters are like, the fuck is this?
I know.
Like, I feel like they probably should be scarier than they are.
It's a very interesting thing with monsters in Korean TV and movie, because if you watch, I always want to say Sweet Dreams, but it's not Sweet Dreams, it's Sweet Home. It's also a Netflix series. Their monsters are very interesting. I think they have a completely different take on what's scary and what is, frightening to people, and I actually kind of dig it because it's so different from what you see in American movies. So I'm very excited for that. But that was a side note. Squid Game is great. Please, I beg every one of you to watch it because it's mind-blowingly good. I was blown away by it, and I was a bit proud because I wrote an article about why you should start watching Korean movies and TV, and I'm not saying that it's me. But I like to think that I inspired some people to watch these movies and TV shows because I keep hearing people saying that they watch Kingdom, for example, through my recommendation.
I still haven't watched the movie, by the way. I'm going to get on that. But to be fair, you haven't watched very much of The Leftovers, so I feel like I'm being let off the hook here.
You're still good. You're still good. And I'm not gonna lie. I told you that Leftovers is a bit depressing for me at the moment. So
it's very true.
I had to put a stop on it for now because I'm like I'm not.
You've got other things on. I understand.
Yes, I'm not there mentally. I'm not gonna say that Squid Game didn't destroy me completely because it did. So I don't know if it was a greater. I mean,
I'm very weird in that I find because The Leftovers is such a very unique atmosphere to me. I find it oddly comforting.
Jesus Christ.
In a way that I will never be able to describe or like, what's the word? Justify to people, but I find it to be strangely comforting to me. But speaking of having influence, like influencing people,
yes,
Ted Lasso is coming to an end this week, the second season.
I know.
From what I can tell, which means that if you're not in a great place mentally, Ted Lasso is going to definitely be the thing that you should get into now, especially now it's going to be all out. You'll thank me. But I got Zenith into it, and then Zenith got Jay into it.
Nice.
It's just sort of like everybody's watching Ted Lasso. Armin just started watching it. Nobody. Yes, I did say Ted Lasso. You're absolutely right. It's been getting better and fucking better, and I'm really excited to see how they're ending the season because, boy, there's been some stuff happening.
Nice. I will. It's on the list. It's on the list. I was just waiting for it to finish.
After this week, you got all of it.
Yeah, which is great. I also put a stop on The Last Man, which I started watching because I want to see all of it together because now it frustrates me because I'm like, I need to know now. So I'm waiting with that. And
keep doing. You're doing the Lord's work.
Yes. And there was one more thing I wanted. What did I wanted to say? Oh God. Oh no. I lost it. It's gonna come back at an odd time, and it's just gonna burst out.
Do you want to get into the actual meat of the episode then, or do you want to sit here and ponder for 10 minutes while you can't think of the thing?
It's not coming back at the moment. So yeah, let's get into the love of my life, my new love of my life.
As we know, like I said, this is the reason. Sorry, I've just realized there's a bunch of fluff touched in my microphone. You told me to watch Midnight Mass. I was already planning on watching Midnight Mass. When you yelled at me twice to do it in the same within like 3 hours of each other, I was like, there was the part of me that just sort of went, you can't tell me what to do. Sorry. So but I was also working, so when I came back and I was deciding to take a bit of a break because it was a long sort of 4 days. I love these 4 days, but it was a long sort of 4 days. I sat down and I started watching it. I watched the first 4 episodes, and then I took a break for the evening and watched the last 3 episodes the next day. And yeah, it's pretty fucking good, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it is pretty fucking good. And Mike Flanagan is like I am writing an article about Mike Flanagan and his work at the moment, because as it turns out, which is like some of them I wasn't even aware at first that it was from him. One in particular, which I am a bit ashamed of, that I didn't know that he made that as well. No. I did know about Hush because he wrote that with Kate Siegel. So I did know that one. That's my first love from them. That's like,
I take it that there's the original like iteration of Midnight Mass appears in
Yeah.
Hush.
Yeah, that's why I was
I've been doing a lot of reading this past week and like watching
Yeah.
interviews and stuff.
I watched Hush many times. It's if I checked it correctly, it should still be up on all Netflix platforms, if I am correct. So if you can, please watch Hush because it's freaking amazing. And I actually did remember then. This is if it feels familiar. It feels familiar. Midnight Mass, which I was like, I heard this somewhere, and then it came back. Well done, Mike Flanagan and Katie Gill. I love you guys. And then Oculus is one of my other favorite horror movies from them, from Mike Flanagan. It's a really good horror movie with oh God, names. Karen Gillan, there you go.
Oh, right.
Yeah. It's a really good horror movie. It's the one that creeps under your skin, which I very much appreciate. And then the one that I didn't know that he made, and I'm a bit ashamed that I didn't know, it is Dr. Sleep, which is the continuation of
recently.
The Shining. So, and I think Dr. Sleep was brilliant. I really, really like that movie, and it does have the Mike Flanagan flavor in there, which
long monologues.
Yes. Other than that is the theme, which just keeps happening in all of his creations, and
death
and grief,
grief
and grief, and
love.
I think. And love,
well,
yeah, that's fair as well. I love this man. So far, I don't think he made mistakes in his creations, like like big ones that makes them horrible. I so far I love everything he did. I have to say it. Like, and Midnight Mass is definitely on top.
I think if we can rewind a bit, because I then after watching Midnight Mass, I went, all right. Because I had been meaning to do this for a while because I know that people liked it a lot. I went back and I watched both of the Haunting series.
Yes,
so I watched The Haunting of Hill House and then I watched The Haunting of Bly Manor. I did both of those in a day. Haunting of Hill House was like, in particular, I started at like 5 in the afternoon, or 5 or 6 in the evening, and then I kept watching until 5 in the morning.
Yeah,
because that series in particular was so well fucking structured, that it just the whole thing was incredibly well done in keeping you invested in the people, but also in the mystery that was going on. And then a couple of days later, I watched The Haunting of Bly Manor, which I also did in a day, but like I didn't stay up until quite as late. It was like 1 when I finished that one. I started it earlier. It was fine. I also very much like that one. I think Hill House was better, personally speaking.
Yeah, I agree.
But I did very much like what a lot of the stuff that Bly Manor was doing. I want to talk about Hill House particularly though, because I think episode 6 is a fucking masterpiece. Because that's the one with the 6. It's the 2 storms.
Yes.
With the fucking like 5 15-minute long takes. Okay, there weren't 5 of them, but they were a lot of them, and they were playing. I was like, first 5-10 minutes of the episode, I was sitting there going, "Have they cut yet? I don't think they have." And just watching it go, having them go back and forth between like these massive sets. I watched like they did like a featurette on like how they put it together. I think, which I watched, and it's just like. The part of me that loves the technical side of stuff because of all my film school training, just sitting there going, "This is fucking genius, so good." But I think what I think Hill House does a little bit better than Bly Manor is I think that the characters in Hill House are a little bit more interesting.
Yeah,
and I say that as like everybody in Bly Manor is great. But I really liked all the sibling stuff in Hill House. I did find myself near to the end of the season getting real pissed off at Shirley. She's so angry, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. You really don't have that much of a leg to stand on here. I know that you're pissed, but like you don't actually know what happened. And shut the fuck up.
I will tell you an interesting thing because I think it's interesting. So the 5 children are actually representing the 5 stages of grief.
I saw this because I saw it on Tumblr. Somebody made a gift set of it, and I went,
yeah,
oh shit, that's so good.
Yep. So denial is Stephen, anger is Shirley, bargaining is Theo.
Is Luke.
No, it's Theo. Depression is Luke. No, depression.
No, I thought it was the other way around. I thought Theo was depression and bargaining was because the thing I saw was that Luke was bargaining because he's like, I just need to do this one more time, and then it's like, and I'll just do it one more time to get, and it'll get me through this time. But Theo has that whole monologue at the end of episode 8 where she touched after she touched Nell, she was like, I felt nothing, which is depression.
Which is my favorite monologue.
It is very good. I was sitting there going, oh shit.
I wrote this in the article as well, but I will tell you. I actually used that monologue for one of my castings. Damn. And I made the casting director cry.
Nice.
It was I didn't get the role, but I wasn't disappointed because she did say, things that I was like, finally, okay, I'm going somewhere. She said that it was really good, and I should just keep on going and pushing forward, which is a great thing to hear for an actor. So I very much appreciated it because it means that I am not doing it for nothing. But yeah, I love them. I mean, it makes sense, but to my knowledge, I think it's the other way around. But you might be right. Like I'm not.
I don't know. That's just the way that I saw it, and I thought it made a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense. I'm not gonna lie.
Especially,
but acceptance is Nell.
Yes, sorry. Acceptance is Nell. That makes the most sense considering her monologue in the last episode, which is kind of the only thing I'd seen from the show properly. Was a lot of gift sets with her saying it's the rest is confetti. Oh man, I just was really impressed by how the show set up like an interesting beginning with like that night. Like what the fuck was happening on that night, and it manages to like pull it out for like the whole 10 episodes, and we go and give you enough like each time to be like, okay, I'm getting a little bit more of the puzzle. I found it. I don't know if it was like there was an element of it. I'm not sure I entirely understood at the end whether or not the house was actually.
Okay.
No, Maleficent was what I was going to say, and then I was trying to figure out if that's actually the right word. Like whether or not it was actively out to get them or not, or whether it was something. It was more to do with the people within the house that were stuck within the house. But I'm still not entirely. But I feel like that's just something that's kind of up to interpretation, and probably I might get something more out of if I watched it again, which I was considering. I really wanted to watch that 6th episode again. I was like, this is so fucking good.
Yeah, the 6th episode is good. My favorite episode is episode 8 because that's where we get the big monologue from about nothing.
It also is when Shirley stops being a dick.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hill House is definitely such a intense and heavy series, and I think that's what I really like about Mike Flanagan's work, especially that he's not afraid to talk about heavy stuff and have them in a popular TV show, because I think they kind of knew that it's going to be a big thing. Netflix was promoting it heavily, blah blah blah, and it's quite heavy for a show like this, and I wasn't expecting it, and I think that's why it worked so well for me, because I was expecting like a horror series, which is obviously I had questions about like how you're going to make an 8-episode or 10-episode horror series, how it's going to work. Horror is about pacing, it's about how you structure it, and it has to be very tight to work quite well. And then
it turns out really, really well.
Really, really fucking well. Like I was like, oh. this is I couldn't stop it. Like I was like you. I was like, yeah. Started episode 1 at I don't know what time. I think at 4-ish, and finished it in the morning.
In the early hours.
Yeah.
But I was because it was like I was downstairs for most of it, and it got to about 1 a.m. I was watching the episode 6. And as it was finishing, because the big thing was that one of my dogs, Oscar, was fast asleep on the floor in front of me, and I kind of didn't want to leave him alone, so I was just kind of standing there, or sitting there, like I could watch the next episode. I should at least go to bed. All right, I'll go upstairs and I'll at least watch another episode. And then I just kept going because I was like, there's just stuff happening. I need to know what's going on next. I have to get to the end now, because I have to answer all these damn questions. I found, I really liked all the characters, and I liked the fact that, despite it was kind of, I do like that sort of thing of like, you're gonna get, you see like an event take place, and then you go back in with another character's perspective, and you see more from that person's perspective, right? It's that vantage point thing, right? Particularly because I subscribe very specifically to this sort of theory of spectatorship in film, in that you need a particular character to be kind of your focus, to be able to kind of your way into the emotional empathy, your ability to empathize with the story that's going on. You need to be able to align with a certain character within a scene. And what I think was really clever about this is that it goes through each of the characters, kind of give you a sense of like, this is who this person is, and this is how they're struggling with it. This is who this person is, and this is how they're struggling with it. But you're also still getting pieces of information each time. It's like, I'm learning that Steve doesn't believe in ghosts because he completely blocked. He was the last one out of the house, so he doesn't like. I will say actually on that note, because it's his episode, it's like his first, and having that scene where Dad comes in and wakes him up, and it's like, we have to get out of here. You just make sure you close your eyes, and it does that like shot of the over the shoulder shot where you see something lumbering down the corridor after him, and you don't see it for long enough to be like, what the fuck is that? Just like, oh shit, fucking genius.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know how much or how many of them did you notice, but there are hidden ghosts in every episode. And I think it's brilliantly done, because first watching, I only noticed like a few, and it's so quick that you're like.
I definitely saw more in Bly Manor. I think Bly Manor.
More in Bly Manor, yeah.
I think Bly Manor may be a bit more obvious with them, because there's a couple like Bly Manor's like brighter as well. It is. It was one of the interesting things. It's sort of a lot brighter to look at, because I think the interesting thing is that Bly Manor is less of a horror as much as it is a gothic sort of romance, really. Yeah. I will say that I have completely fallen in love with Oliver Jackson Cohen, who plays like the sweetest guy in Hill House, and then is like, I mean, actually, I have a lot of. I think that Peter Quint is a really interesting character. I know he's a dick, but I feel for him a lot. Like I think he's so complicated, and I'm like, I kind of want to take him, like, kind of take that kind of like psyche. I'm like, I almost want to kind of figure you out for a bit. And I think also that he just as an actor is so charismatic that I'm like, God. I know you're awful, but I really like you.
I know. I had major problems during Bly Manor when he showed up. Like, I mean, he's very tall, and they put that suit on him, and I was like, I don't.
And then they gave him a Scottish accent. I don't know.
I know. I was like, don't crush on fictional people, please.
Also, especially this guy. He's bad news.
He's bad news. And I was like, oh, you're making this really hard. He's great. I liked him in Hill House as well. I think like he's fucking great as an actor. He said it well.
It's just like,
yeah, you just want to. But like in Bly Manor, I was like, Problems. I have problems.
I was kind of sitting there going, Jesus Christ, that accent is pretty fucking phenomenal. And then I Googled him and was like, fuck, he's English.
Yeah.
I know that being English does not necessarily mean that you can do a good Scottish accent, but I just didn't I didn't question him being American was the thing. So when he it was more that I was like, man, this American dude really got a good Scottish accent. And I was like, oh, he's fucking English.
He's
okay.
fucking English. I'm like, oh God, I was put it together. That was me during Bly Manor. I was like, stop showing him. Who's just stopping.
I found him to be so fascinating during Bly Manor. I know that there were lots more like sweet and good characters, particularly Hannah and Owen.
Yes. Oh. I was so heartbroken.
I went into this because I think I saw more spoilers for Bly Manor before, like ages when it came out, than I did when Hill House came out.
Yeah.
So I knew, and spoilers. I mean, I know the show came out last year, but like spoilers anyway. I knew that Hannah was dead the whole time. I didn't know when that happened, but I knew that she was dead. I knew that and that was the thing that was going to be revealed during her episode 5. Speaking. Episode 5 in Mike Flanagan shows When to Break Your Heart.
Oh God, yes.
I thought her episode was stunning, and there's something about, and I think this is one of the things I really liked about Bly Manor. I love setting up scenes, that thing that he does quite a lot, especially because the whole theme of it is kind of memory and whatnot. I love the way he set up scenes and had people kind of playing out like their own memories, and then when they turn around and be like, this is not what happened, I don't, and then their memories would be, yeah, I know, darling, but we're gonna keep playing it out anyway. And it's like that kind of slightly fourth wall-y moment, and I'm like, this is my jam. I love this.
It is it's really good.
Anything that does this sort of thing, that kind of like recognizes that they're going through the motions of a thing, and just has them go, yeah, I know, but we're gonna keep going anyway, aren't we? And it's sort of like, there's something so sad and interesting about it. I saw there's a lot of discussion in Bly Manor about like the way that abuse comes out in like different people, like how Peter kind of perpetuates that cycle, and how Jamie in particular kind of breaks it, because the very interesting thing is to compare Jamie and Peter's sort of stories, because they're very similar. And how differently they kind of diverged, and sort of there's like an allegory to do with like the kids and how they're affected by it and everything. And it's just
kids
really good.
Creepy as hell.
Yeah, those kids, it was like, I knew that there was like, they were obviously just hiding something. But it was just sort of like, why? And then it's like, oh, you're like actively kind of being abused basically by a ghost.
And it was very creepy. They were very creepy. Oh my God. I always freak out when it's like children ghosts and everything. It's just it just creeps under my skin, and I don't like.
I picked up quite quickly that I was like, oh, so Miles is getting possessed by something.
I mean, you can pick that up quite quickly.
It's I don't know. I think it probably took me longer than it should have to realize that it was Peter, or it was maybe I figured it was Peter, but it was sort of like, well, how the hell did Peter die then? Because I thought he ran away, and then finding out that it's fucking Kate Siegel roaming the grounds.
Oh my God, I hated that scene where Peter dies.
It's sad.
It's very sad. I was like, no. This is
I know that there's a lot of people who just sort of like outright are just like, I hate this fucking character, and I think that's very valid, because he is not good.
Valid,
he's not good.
Yeah.
But I find him, what I like about what he does with these shows, and he, in this case being Mike Flanagan, is that even with these sort of terrible people, there is a semblance of like, I do understand you, and it's not that I don't want, and I like, at no point did I find myself going, you've gotten to a point where I actively don't want to understand you.
Yeah.
Especially with him, where I was just like, I still kind of want to figure you out, and like, I feel like there would be a way for you to come back from this, because I feel like he does hold a lot of guilt, and the impression I got from him anyway was this is a guy who only knows how to react to things in the way that he was sort of brought up in. but holds a lot of guilt for the fact that I think he's like slightly self-aware of the fact, but doesn't know how to not be that way. So it's like, yes, I think he really genuinely did love Rebecca, but he didn't know how to love her properly.
Yeah, I agree.
It just makes me so sad.
I know. I that's why, because I think I already talked about this, that there's this bystander movement, which is against bullying and to stop bullying and whatnot. And one of the spokespersons for that is Jamie Lee Curtis, and she has this. I know it's not coming from her, but she says it, and I think it's very important to remember this, that hurt people hurt people. And it's I think it is very important to think about how complex people are. Like, yes, there are genuine assholes, obviously, like, you know,
and it's like it's never like an excuse to.
It is never an excuse, no.
But it's like.
But it's still true.
I have always been of the opinion that intention is one of the most important things. Like, it doesn't. The intention is never an excuse, but I think it helps you come to a place of understanding and maybe helping somebody become better outside of it. Yeah. But you said something very similar to the thing I always think about, which is that John Green for a very long time has been touting, imagine other people complexly. It's that thing of just sort of like, the people are not just their worst day or like their worst behavioral things. It's like there's other stuff going on, and so it's not like, if that kind of behavior has been actively terrible to you and like hurting you, I'm not saying you have to sit there and be like, take it and like try to fix somebody. Obviously, you should just fucking leave if that's absolutely not. People are complicated, and they hurt from thousands of little things and a couple of big things usually. And a lot of people do want to be the best version of themselves that they can be. So
yeah. So I think it shows beautifully with Peter. And that's why it's I think a very interesting character.
Yeah, I think if you had somebody less likable, that character would not have been as nuanced. Because I think a big part of it comes from the fact that he is genuinely so charismatic on screen, that you can kind of see. You can see why Rebecca might kind of get a bit caught up in him. But like the tragedy of her as well, being so bright and just falling for this guy who I think genuinely did see her for a bit, but also was so sort of selfish and wanting. It's the whole thing.
It is the whole thing. I fully understand Rebecca, though. I'm not saying I wouldn't be saying.
Oh man!
Oh god! I might have to rewatch it.
Yeah, it's good. Also, horror lesbians. Thanks, Mike Flanagan.
Yes, thank you, Mike Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan went, who gets to be the horror lesbian this time?
Love him. I love him. I love that. I think I will say this, that I think Kate Siegel is very underappreciated, and I love that.
She's fucking fantastic.
She's fucking fantastic in so far in everything she did. I love her so much. I'm like, yes, just give me more. Just bring it in. More. But yeah, and the other one who I've genuinely love, and I am so glad that we got him back in Midnight Mass as well, is Raoul Coley.
Yes, we love honestly, after all of it, I was like, fucking Raoul Coley.
I know,
so good.
He is so good. He's genuinely brilliant. I like that's what I told you as well. Like he falls into the category where I say that I love an actor, like I genuinely love them because they are so different in each role, and I think that's so true with him. Like, put Owen and Sheriff Hassan next to each other, and you're like, it's not the same. It's not even played by. He's brilliant. I love him so much. We love you here. So yes, let's go into Midnight Mass. Yes.
All right, I'm gonna say it right now. We're going to spoil the whole fucking thing. So if you haven't watched Midnight Mass and you want to, you should leave now. Because I think going into it as blind as possible is actually the best way to do this.
Oh, yeah.
Because I did. I remember watching the trailer ages ago and being like interesting, and then didn't really take it in. I knew it was like the guy who did all those haunting shows that people seem to like, sure.
I didn't even watch the trailer.
I did, but clearly didn't take very much of it in because I feel like actually it's very interesting. You should go back and watch the trailer for it. Because they've done something very fascinating in it. In that, the song in the trailer is "Somewhere Only We Know" by Keane.
Midnight Mass. Sorry, there's a question in the chat. It's the trailer for Midnight Mass.
Trailer for Midnight Mass. The song is "Somewhere Only We Know" by Keane, and there's a bit in it. Yeah, I love that song too. But like, I saw somebody be like, why did they use that song for the trailer? It's interesting. And then going back to it after you've watched the series, it's actually a very fitting choice, specifically for the fact that there's a bit of it where they keep repeating the line, "You're gonna let me in," about 5 times. And then afterwards I was like, fuck, that's very good. Because it's just sort of like, this show, and I'm about to spoil the whole thing, this show is about vampires.
It is about vampires. I knew it after 15 minutes. I'm not even joking.
I didn't. I honestly didn't know. I wasn't going into it. I was like, there's something fucking spooky going on in this. I don't really know what it is. I got it episode 3 when he, the vampire, or the angel, I guess we could call it.
Okay.
But it's like they call it the angel of the series. So
I know.
But when it does the whole thing of, I think it was somewhere between the end of episode 3 where he shows that the angel like gives him the blood and then it draws him down, and I think I had an inkling then. I think what I really got it was, I think during episode 4 when obviously he just dies and comes back again, and by he I mean Monsignor Purett, and he can't touch the sunlight, and I went, oh, it's fucking vampires. I mean,
I will tell you where I realized it was vampires. I realized it at the 50-minute mark in episode 1 when he pulls the big box into the house and then just knocks on it and something knocks back, and I was like, that's a fucking vampire right there. I just had a feeling. And then they cut to the scene where the kids are out on what was it called?
The Upwards.
Thank you. And I had a heart attack there, I'm not gonna lie, when he turns the flashlight and suddenly there's something there, and I was like,
Actually, what I liked about this show was that, because we were talking about this before, I'm not big with horror, really. I appreciate the art form of it and all that sort of stuff, but I don't really want to watch something that's actually going to get under my skin and make me feel sort of bleh.
Yeah.
What I liked about this was that, sorry, pardon me.
It's okay.
What I liked about all of these series is that I never found them off-puttingly scary. In fact, I didn't find Midnight Mass scary at all. I think it
there are some scary bits in there.
There were some, but I just personally didn't like. I wasn't like, spooked.
Good for you. I'm easy to spook, I guess.
So there were a couple in Hill House that really got me.
Oh my god, yes.
There's a couple, especially in episode 6, again, just fucking genius. There's a couple of points where there's like you said, there's like people just sort of hanging out in places. But I think my favorite one though is that you're following Olivia as she's looking for Nell in the house, and she walks past the statue, and I was like, is that the head of that? I swear to God, the head of that statue was moved. She left the scene and she comes back again. And I was like, fucking moved. It did move. I knew it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's all those really subtle things that they brilliantly do, where they just change like something really small in the background, and they're not really going to focus on it, but the whole thing is in focus, so you can see really
it's brilliant.
But
brilliant.
Point is, with Midnight Mass, I didn't get like in like super spooked by much.
I mean, me neither, but there were some scenes where I was like, Jesus Christ. Especially when Sheriff Hassan talks to his kid, and then he turns to turn off the
when he goes, oh fuck. Did they show anything there? Because I didn't see anything.
Yeah,
I didn't. I saw nothing.
They showed the vampire. I was like,
I actually didn't see anything. I just saw him jump. I guess I blinked at the right time.
Probably. Because it literally is just like 1 second, but I nearly died at that scene. Like I
thought that they did that on purpose. I thought that they had him jump at something that you couldn't see. No, but like I guess I just missed it.
You just missed it. You can see it. I was like, oh, my life is just flashing in front of me. It was late at night. I was so spooked by that. I was like, oh, just because I have my window is up there, so I have a roof window, or I don't know how you call it.
Skylight.
Thank you. And for a very long time, there's a scene in M. Night Shyamalan's movie Science where they look out on a window like this and they see the alien standing next to the chimney. Now, if you look out my window, you can fucking see the chimney. So for years, I was afraid to look out the window at night because I was afraid I'm going to see someone standing there. Now, Midnight Mass, it's not the same window, but it gives me the same creep. So I'm like, I'm genuinely not liking looking at my window at night at the moment. I'm like, I'm not looking there. And it's okay. I don't care. So yeah, it worked, Mike Flanagan. I'm spooked.
Little spooks.
I am.
Spooks. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of how do we get into the depth that is Midnight Mass? Because there's so much.
There is so much.
The 7th episode is really funny. I came downstairs to find Louis watching it the other day. He's part the way through episode 2 when they're at the crock pot.
Oh my god,
the crock pot log, which is still great. That's a great title. This is very good. And he turns to me and goes, "It's a bit slow." And I'm like, "You're on episode 2, Louis. Give it a fucking minute." He's like, "I'm waiting for something to happen." It's like, things are happening. They're just happening slowly.
They happen. It's a slow burner.
It's a slow burn. It's all gonna go shit up. We'll get there. Just give it a chance.
It's coming. It's coming.
I think I loved Riley so much.
Oh my god.
It was really funny. I watched a couple of interviews with a couple of the cast who kind of went about the same things, and especially Zach Gilford, who played Riley, was talking about specifically because I finished episode 4 and I was like, wait, what the fuck? They killed him?
I was yelling at Kelly. I was like, oh, Riley, no.
It's the way he just couldn't leave it alone.
He had such a good time.
He was so good.
He was good.
I finished that and then I read the episode descriptions for the last 3 episodes.
Which is a mistake.
No, I honestly didn't ruin anything really too much for me. But it was like, because episode 5 says Riley risks everything to tell Erin what's going on. I was like, oh shit, Riley's still alive. And then you get to the end of that episode and it's like, no, he's not. Not anymore, he's not.
Nope.
But there's a great interview of God damn
it. You are out of focus again. There you go.
It was a great interview with Zach Gilford saying that he was reading the scripts, but Hamish Linklater, who played Father Paul,
Father Pruitt,
who I will get onto in a minute because I think he's one of the standouts of this whole thing. But apparently he was texting him at the time, being like, "Oh my god, you're dead," and he goes, "No, wait, you're alive again. Oh wait, you're dead again." it just cracked me up. But Paul Riley. I think that one of the things I find to be very interesting about the way that, because there's clearly a lot, what I like about somebody who has a very distinct voice is that you can often tell the things that really matter to them. And something that clearly very much matters to Mike Flanagan is this sort of discussion of addiction, because I think he's spoken a lot of times that he is sober now. I don't know the specifics of his stuff, but it's clearly something that's been a factor in his life. One of the things I like about the way he talks about it is that he doesn't, because there is this discussion of addiction in media where it's like addiction is a disease and it's like something that needs to be looked at and helped. But I think what I like about what he does is he goes, this addiction comes from a place of trauma, right? or it's like the stuff that is tied to addiction, it often comes from a place of trauma, or like it doesn't necessarily come from nowhere. So it especially when it comes like what I liked about Luke's story in Hill House is that he spends so much time trying to get clean and then relapsing, and then trying to get clean and then relapsing, and the only time he manages to like stick it out is after they treat the thing that was the reason for like him relapsing every time. They treated the source, and then he was able to get better from that base. And I quite like the way that it feels very realistic, because I think it comes from a very realistic place, which is also what I liked about the way that they discussed Catholicism in the show, because it's like clearly this is somebody who grew up in the Catholic Church, because it's like so much of it was very familiar to me, because I have it's a very strange sort of thing. I grew up like we used to go to church every Sunday, and then around the time we moved to where I am now, we kind of stopped going. So I spent half of my life in the church and half of my life outside of the church. So I have a weird sort of outside perspective on it, while also having been quite heavily in that space as a child. So it felt very familiar to me. And then there's a bunch of stuff to do with like my reaction to that I don't really want to get into, because it's sort of like personal, and I also don't really know how to articulate it properly. So it's like that sort of thing. But I just very much liked that the way that all of this stuff comes from a place that feels very natural. That makes sense. You say things now, because I've been talking for a while.
You say things now. Oh God!
Tell me your thoughts.
I will. I will start with that. I think this is my favorite series from Mike Flanagan. Because I think this is the one where I enjoyed the talks the most, like the big monologues and the dialogues and everything in there, because I think they were very fucking important.
I liked a lot of them. I will say I wasn't huge on the last one, the one that Erin does. The one that Erin does as she's dying, because I think a lot of it is kind of nonsense.
I mean,
because I was sitting there going, "What the fuck she's saying?" I'm not really understanding what you're getting at here. Was the sort of thing, the impression I was getting. In that one, I found the rest of pretty much every other one amazing. I just found that one went on a bit too long, and I didn't quite understand what it was going for.
That's definitely not my favorite either.
It's like, of all the sort of criticisms to have, I was like, that one's not as great, but it was like the rest of them have been pretty amazing. So I'm willing to let this slide. It's like that one.
I think it's always a very interesting topic for me, because I am an atheist, so I'm not really into these things, but I always like to hear about it and even read about it. I read passages from the Bible as well. I read from the Quran. I read from many different things. And I find them very interesting, actually. And I find it very interesting that a lot of people don't seem to realize that a lot of them are from the same root. And I think that's why the sheriff's talk in the school scene is very fucking important.
Oh God, that whole thing is,
I know,
so like, it's like, hey, I'm gonna give you a very like understandable and reasonable perspective on how I don't think we should be forcing religion down our kids' throats in a public school. And Bev manages to turn it around. We have to get into Bev in a minute, but like,
we will.
She manages to like fully turn it around and like turn it into something it totally wasn't. Like gaslight him in the process, really, and then get an applause at the end of it. And it's just sort of like, oh, I hate you.
Yeah,
like, I hated you anyway, but like I hate you.
Yeah. But before we get into Bev, I will say that I think my favorite one, though, that it's monologue and dialogue related, is the one that Father Paul and Riley has the first time that they sit down together. And Riley asks a very important question, like, why did God decide to save me, an addicted person, instead of that young girl who had so much to live for? And like, I love that monologue so much. I can't really.
Honestly, it's the way at the end of it, he kind of goes, "What a monstrous idea, Father!" And I'm like, this is very good.
Exactly.
I like this a lot.
yeah. I was like, I'm not crying. I am, but I am not. Thank you. And then that's the point where I will get into Miss Keen.
Fucking Bev.
Fucking Bev, fuck you. I hate you with all my heart. I was literally saying, because Kelly and I watched it at the same time, so we were like messaging each other, and I was like, she was a bit ahead of me, so I literally went like, I just want to grab Miss Keen and fucking throw her in the ocean to die. I was so infuriated, like, because for me, characters like her, or the one I tweeted about is Mrs. Carmody in The Mist, which is a Stephen King adaptation from Frank Darabont. Frank Darabont's great, and a dick, but anyway, don't sidetrack. We've done this before. But characters like them represent what my problem is with the whole religion thing. And I think they do that representation very fucking well, especially Miss Keen. Especially Miss Keen.
Hey, so we discussed this a little bit because I had some very sort of interesting, slightly more nuanced thoughts on it than I have had, because I hate characters like that too. Like, I cannot stand anybody with like really black or white morality. Fucks me off 99% of the time. Where people, again, it's the thing of like refusing to see nuance in people or like situations and being like, this is always bad, and it's like, okay, but also it's a bit more complicated than that, and by not giving it that like credence, then you're just really, it's infuriating. But what I liked about the way that they created Bev in comparison to somebody like, and this is the example I used with you, was Locke in Lost, who is a character that I cannot fucking stand. Like, he comes out, he starts with like self-aggrandizing and like spouting Bible verses and being like, I am right all the time. I'm like, no, you're fucking not. But what I liked about this show was that it never felt like the narrative was actually backing up her point.
Nope.
Which I feel like it does, like, when you have a character like that in other shows, sometimes the narrative will be like, and we're gonna bolster that by making the narrative make it seem like this is actually a good thing, when it never is. And that's the thing that always gets my like hackles up, where I get so pissed off at the storytelling. Where it's just like, no, you're actively choosing the path of making it seem you're bolstering the ideals of this person, which aren't good. But what I really liked about Bev in this, and what it actually meant that I was less angry about the existence of her character, was that it never felt like the narrative was making it seem like she was ever really in the right. Like, she wasn't. She's like and Mike Flanagan has said this in I saw like a 5-minute thing of him and like an executive producer talking about the whole thing, and he was like, "Oh, she's the real villain of the piece, like 100%. She is the villain of the piece.
She is
not the vampire; it's her." It's the sort of self. It's that thing of her acting like she's doing this for the greater good, but what she's really doing is acting like she's the main character in her story. That's what, because it's specifically that bit in, I think, end of episode 6, or like maybe it actually might be in episode 7, like part of the way through episode 7, where everything's burning and she's opened the doors and they're all killing everybody. Where she goes, "You are my test," and it's like, this is not about you, you self-important little shit. None of this was ever about you, and it's not really about anybody in particular. It was just about things that were happening. Like,
God, it's
I messaged you very specifically after Sorry, I just got a message about something, but it's fine. Is what was I saying? Yeah, I messaged you after episode 2 when poor Pike died in a way that's very horrible, by the way. And if you're still here and you're planning on watching this and you apparently just decided you didn't actually care about spoilers, there is a very horrible dog death scene in episode 2. Like to the point where I kind of had to like stop looking at it because it was really awful. And it's like there's the narrative never like actively confirms it. It never goes, haha, here she is doing this sort of thing. It just but it's like you just know it was fucking her. We all know it. Even the characters in the show know it. Yeah. It was her. Yeah. Oh god. And I was like, fuck this bitch.
Yep. I was like just
yeah. What I did find kind of interesting was that I did find myself going like with Peter, there were moments where I found something I could go, oh, okay, here's something I can get on board with a little bit with you. And that was the fact that I was so on board with Father Paul that after he killed Joe, despite the fact that I love Joe, I very much loved Joe.
I love Joe. I was like,
and I wasn't pleased about how that went about. Well, I was sort of a bit like, oh, she's very ride or die. Like immediately she was like, all right, we're just gonna sort this out. I was like, all right, kind of a little bit of respect on that.
Really? Like, I mean, that was the first point of proof that she just doesn't care. She's
yes, true, but it was like in a sort of vacuum sort of thing, and this kind of gets muddy later on when it's clear that actually she's doing this whole thing through like her own lens. Like, this is my test. I'm doing this because this is how this is what God wants me to do specifically. But at the moment it happened, I was like, I don't appreciate that you're actively covering up a murder here, but you have got there is some sense of loyalty to you. That was the way I was reading it in the moment. That I was like, all right, I'm not like I feel like if it was for a character I didn't care about, I might have been more mad. But because I was like, I really loved Father Paul, and like I didn't want to see him go down some terrible path. I was a little bit like, okay, she's protecting somebody that I actually care about, and therefore it's kind of you're a little bit on more my level. Obviously, this didn't last, and I still fucking hate her. But there was like a level of sort of like, okay. I just was surprised to find myself be like, loyalty, interesting, which obviously didn't last.
But she doesn't have loyalty. She only has loyalty to herself, and that's it.
But it was in that moment, it felt like loyalty to him, and that was the way that I read it. Which made her more interesting to me, because it made her less like a cartoon villain and just sort of like evil. And it was like, if this person can have qualities that are actually also good, it means that she's a more interesting villain to me. It made me go, okay, this is a more this is a more nuanced version of this version of this character, and maybe like the writing of it more.
I don't know. I never looked at her as a cartoon villain. So
no, but I feel like that kind of character can come up as very much cartoon villainish and like blood boilingly angry to the point where like I actually don't want that in the narrative. But it meant that she had more dimensions to me. So I was like, okay.
I at that scene when she obviously finds Father Paul and poor Joe. I love Joe so much.
Joe deserved better. He was doing so well.
Yeah, he was. And
I know he did something terrible, but again, it's that thing of like
he was on the path of redemption finally, and it was the same with Riley, and they did it in the same episode. So I was destroyed at episode 4. Like, fuck you guys! I was so angry at that episode, and I think
she said, kicking a laptop,
just kicking my fucking laptop, and the second she opened the door, she didn't even think about it. I was like, how fucking awful you are! You see that person. I get that you didn't like that person, but you're just gonna cover the fucking murder of him just like it's like nothing happened. And that was one thing that really infuriated me in this show, and it's not even Beth Keane, it's something different. No one fucking even said once that it's a fucking vampire and we shouldn't do that.
Actually, it's very interesting because I saw a video of Mike Flanagan talking about that, and the reason they did that very intentionally, and he said it's because when the moment you say vampire, you pull up like hundreds of years worth of lore in your brain, and it completely it kind of takes it away from the narrative that the story's trying to tell. In that this isn't yes, we all know it's a vampire. Everybody at home knows it's a vampire. But by not putting it being like this is now a vampire, it means that the focus stays way more on the religious aspect to it, and the way that everybody the way that Monsignor Pruitt saw this monstrous thing and went, an angel, because of his faith, and because I actually find that to be incredibly interesting. I mean,
I'm not saying that it's not interesting, but I never liked when, it's such an obvious monster that you're just not gonna admit that or address that. Like I never liked that in fucking The Walking Dead they are zombies and they call them walkers and they just avoid
that's unnecessary. I feel like because that is such a like genre piece. It's like you can call them zombies. It's fine.
Just call them zombies.
Within this, I think it works, and I think I'm not mad about it. In this, I think that the lore behind the thing is enough that it's like it's a vampire. I don't think that like everything goes on. It's not telling you that it's not a vampire.
Obviously, yeah.
Which I think a lot of especially zombie stuff does, where it just goes, these aren't zombies, and it's like, okay, but like they died and came back to life. It's a fucking zombie.
So they are zombies. Yeah.
It's like in this, it's like no, it's got all the hallmarks of a vampire. It can't go out in sunlight. It uses blood to like transport people. It has healing properties and all of these sorts of bits and pieces, but it's like so it's at no point does it say this is not a vampire. It's just that the people within the narrative are under the impression, or the people who have come into contact with it are under the impression it's an angel.
Okay, but I swallowed down that Father Paul obviously looks at it as an angel because when he meets it, basically he's already in that state, but it's like his judgment is not clear, and I can even swallow that he's so religious that he sees, even in this monster, he sees an angel, and that's obviously a reference that
one of my favorite things about this is the fact that anytime angels are mentioned in the Bible, they're considered to be kind of monstrous and terrifying.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to say. Like it's obviously it's okay. I can swallow that, but for a whole fucking church to not go like, this is a bit suspicious. Like what is this pull towards blood, and why do we have to fucking hide before the sun rises? And I'm like,
I think it's the thing. I don't because that's because they don't think that especially that church scene. The big point about that was that they don't actually go into the specifics of it. He just says you'll die and you'll become better and you'll be resurrected, because this is like the resurrection thing. And then the moment, because he wanted to keep them all in the church,
yes,
so that he could talk them through it. And it's Bev who opens the doors
because she's a bitch. Yes,
because she's terrible.
Yeah.
So they don't actually get the sort of like, hey, don't come back until the sun comes up. And then at that point, they're just sort of like, well, we've just does it matter at this point?
I know. It's it's a little thing. I don't know why it annoys me so much. I think it's because of this that I just don't like it when it's something so obvious that you're just not going to address it. And it's like there's not one person in there who says that, oh, wait a fucking second, I think this is a fucking vampire. Like, I just waited for that. Like, even if it would have been like a small acknowledgement when the kids find its hiding place, the old house, and they would be and they would be like, oh fuck, it's just.
Speaking of that old fucking house, like I'm not a huge. They obviously don't want anybody really to die Apart from maybe Beth, but that's not a different. Obviously. That's a different thing.
Yeah, that's different.
Fucking Bowl walking past that house, seeing the door swing open, and going like, I'm gonna go in there.
It's
like, okay, you kind of deserve that.
He kind of did. He kind of did. I'm not gonna lie. He's like, oh, okay, if you're stupid enough, go. And I think
just leave. It's not
just
to do
fucking
with you.
leave. Just don't go in. Like, even and then the fucking voice talks back to you, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna check this out, and I'm like, why?
Like, this seems bad. I'm just gonna go.
I mean, I just did that's a new trend on Twitter where there's a test and they're going to tell you what kind of horror character.
I did the same one. I got the same one as you.
You got the same one as me.
Yeah.
I was like, but why would I die? I'm the only one who's reasonable and says that don't fucking go there. What the fuck? I die.
It was the wise old man, for people who are curious.
Yes.
That we got. It was the wise old man. You also die, and I was like, what? Okay, fine. I read the whole thing, just sort of like, I pick up the hunting knife. I pick up the hunting.
I pick up the hunting knife. I was so frustrated with that. We would fucking survive. We wouldn't die. Like, come on. We would be the first ones out. Like, won't even go into the fucking basement or wherever it is. Oh, God. But never mind that. I was like, it's just so typical. It's like, it's one of those cliche horror things. Yeah. But it's, I love because on TikTok, once again, we go back to TikTok, there's this video series that, what would black people do if they hear a noise, and it's literally just this and nothing. They don't move and they don't try to approach it, nothing. And then a white guy did his version, like, you can see all the black people, and then he pops up and he's like, what would a white guy do in this situation? And he goes, hello. Who's there? Hello? And then it ends with him screaming and dying, and I'm like, yeah, pretty much sums it up. It's brilliant, and it's like, yeah, it does happen. It does happen. So, I'm like, I'm just, you deserve that. Bye. Goodbye. I'm
trying to think what else we get into. What I found to be very interesting. Do I want to go into this? I'll say, I think that my favorite, I really liked Riley's monologue about what happens when we die.
Yes.
Because I think that's the first time I've heard the kind of concept of oblivion and been like, all right, that actually doesn't sound terrible. Yeah. It's like any other time somebody goes, there's just nothing after this. I'm like, what do you mean there's just nothing?
Yeah,
that doesn't make any fucking sense. I can't wrap my head around that. But that monologue was the first time I kind of went, okay, I can kind of see why this is it could be comforting to somebody.
Yeah.
It's the very first time in my life I've ever gone, interesting. And I also just thought he fucking nailed it.
He fucking did.
I also very much liked that the show sets itself up to be, and this has been mentioned a couple of times in interviews by the cast, like it sets itself up to be, it's like, here's your two white male leads, and at the end, it ends up about being a Muslim sheriff, a woman who had a baby out of wedlock, an old woman who became young again, and a lesbian.
Yeah.
And it's like, these are all the people that kind of aren't represented properly within, I guess, the Catholic Church as much. Like, there's the crazy old lady and there's the lesbian and those sort of stuff. So it's like, this is kind of cool. I will say that I think my main criticism of the whole thing is the way that episode 7, it feels a lot like, how do we kill everybody before the sun comes up? And I said this to you as well. I know there are a couple of people in it that I was like, these people should get out of here. Yeah. Like, not everybody has to die.
No.
Erin probably should have been able to get away.
Sheriff.
And the sheriff should have been able to get away.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would have been awful for the sheriff because he just lost his son.
Obviously, but like that thing that they did at the end, that was just stupid. And it just, I felt like that it just served the plot. So it wasn't like, I feel like that those characters were way too smart to do something so stupid, because what they do is that everyone fucking stands there and they start pouring the petrol out so they can set it on the house on fire. And I'm like, you wouldn't do this when everyone fucking stands there. Like, Bev even says that, I thought that you're gonna, burn us while we are sleeping in there. And I'm like, yes!
No, because again, that wasn't really. I think at that point, I understand why they were kind of maybe being sloppy about it, because I think by that point they'd all kind of decided that they weren't getting off the island. They were like, "We're all gonna die."
But no, it's stupid. It's stupid. They still
which
could
is
have
not
done it
necessarily like the best mindset to have. It's like you
Obviously
probably could have
not.
gotten out of here if you actually decided to get out of here. But like, I digress.
I felt like they made them stupid at that moment, and I don't like that. Like, that's definitely a part I don't like. Like, don't fucking make your character stupid when they acted smart throughout the whole fucking season. And I'm like,
I will say that the thing that actually genuinely, because I didn't really get, like, I found everything very emotional, but I didn't cry at anything until it got to that scene at the end when Ali and Hassan start praying towards the sun.
Oh,
and I lost it. I was like, oh god. That I think because he's obviously the real hero of the piece.
Yeah.
This is the sheriff.
Yeah.
He just is. Like, he is the one that, like, if people would listen to him, these sort of things wouldn't happen.
Yep.
And what I really like about the series is that, like you said, what it does is it really points a light at the trouble with, there's nothing wrong with faith.
Mm-mm.
It's the structure. The church is the thing that's evil. It's fundamentalism, and it is that sort of thing of just sort of like, I'm right because I believe in the Bible, and it's like, no. Well, I think the things I really loved about that last bit is the fact that, and somebody pointed it out, it was one of those things that I read and I was like, yeah, that's a really good point. At the end, when people start asking for forgiveness, they ask forgiveness of each other as opposed to God. It's like it's like at this point, it's like we're gonna. The thing that matters is the people that are around us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you for forgiveness in this moment, which it's one of the things we haven't actually gone into it properly. Fucking Hamish Linklater really fucking kills it in this whole thing.
My God.
He's so good.
He's really good.
He was in Legion, which is where I know him from. He was one of my sort of surprise favorites in Legion. He's not got a huge role, but I just remember, from the moment he gets introduced, I was like, this guy's really good. Like, there's something very watchable about him. And I think he manages to pull off those, especially those sort of homilies and the everything very well.
I mean, he did a fucking amazing job, and I think especially because I usually find it always turns a bit comical when someone goes from talking like this and being very humble and whatnot, and suddenly screaming their heads off to be like very fucking comical. Like, not a lot of actors can do it properly, but it worked for him.
He genuinely managed to like really embody that sort of like, I am the head of I am the shepherd, you are my flock, and I am going to lead you down this path, sort of thing, in a way that it was believable in a lot of ways.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, he was so good.
I did
think that the reveal at the end that he was like, I did this all for you, thingy Bob, whose name I can't remember.
Kate.
No.
Oh, the mom.
The mom, Mildred.
I think it's Mildred.
Yeah, Mildred. He was like, I didn't want you to die, so this is what I did. And also, this is our daughter.
The forbidden love.
And it was like, this is very sweet. And I can see how this was technically signposted, but it does come up quite quickly.
It does,
and it kind of goes, oh, okay, interesting. But I still sort of believed it. That was the one that actually really pissed me off, was
Mildred and Sarah.
Yeah, it was Sarah getting shot in the church. That was the one that actually really pissed me off.
Why did I say
that? Didn't.
Okay.
I don't know. That was the one that really pissed me off, because I was like, there was no reason for that to happen either. Just there wasn't.
Yeah.
Especially if she had an escape plan.
Yeah.
I did like the fact that he came in and saw her there and then just sort of went, good. This needs to burn down. In instances, it has to be done. I was like, oh. And the way he takes his collar off at the end in reference to the the whole thing.
So beautifully done. Honestly.
The whole thing was gorgeous.
It was gorgeous. I just, I honestly can't say that this is my favorite Mike Flanagan series.
I was thinking about that because I was like, in my head, the analogy I came up with it was, I think it's hard to compare it to the other two because the other two, because in my head, what it reminds me of is like when somebody says like, what's the best Uncharted game? I think of 1 through 3 because 4 is so obviously the best.
Yeah.
Because it's like, so it's in a different league. It's a different thing. It's like it's like its whole own little like package.
Yeah.
1 through 3 feel like 1 through 3, right?
Mm.
And it's like 1 through 3 in this case are like the Haunting series, and then Uncharted 4 is Midnight Mass, where it's like this is just an entirely different like league. And you can't really compare this to this because like while they share a lot of themes, they're told in an entirely different way. Yeah, it's just...
I agree. But if I would have to rank them, it would go like Midnight Mass, Haunting of Hill House, and then Haunting of Bly Manor.
Yeah,
basically. I love them all dearly. I will point that out as well.
I love about Hill House is like different to what I loved about Midnight Mass because what I liked about Hill House was that it was genuinely like, oh, spooky.
Yeah,
I didn't find Midnight Mass to be spooky.
Yeah, it's not spooky in that way. Yeah.
So it's like I love them in different ways.
Yeah.
But it also means that it's like Midnight Mass lives over here in its own little category, and then it's Hill House and then Bly Manor, because also Bly Manor had some spooks, but it wasn't really quite as spooky as Hill House. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I agree. But as I said it almost at the beginning of the Mike Flanagan talk, I just love Mike Flanagan, and I highly recommend his movies as well.
It's really funny to me seeing people be like complaining about the fact that he does monologues, and I'm like, do you guys ever watch plays?
I fucking love his monologues.
They're great, but it's like there are just some people who are like,
I know
that's not their thing, and I'm like, that's fair. Don't watch it then. Like,
don't watch it. Yeah,
a staple of his stuff. Like, just don't get involved. He's gonna monologue. He likes monologuing, and in some places, specifically that last monologue, I don't think it technically works. The rest of them, though, do.
Yeah. I think that might have been the reason why Dr. Sleep didn't do so well, because there's a lot of talking as well. I
like dialogue. Like, I love it. It's my favorite. I mean, this is the reason I got really obsessed with The West Wing. It's all dialogue.
It is, yeah. And that's you know what? That's why I knew that you're gonna like Midnight Mass, because it's a lot of monologue, and it's brilliant. It is brilliant.
I just, every time I see somebody be like, there's so many fucking, they wish they just shut up, I'm just sort of like, never go see a play, because clearly you just aren't good with people sitting in a room and talking to each other.
Just don't do it. It's not for you, my friend. It's not for you.
Well, maybe you should go see some plays and get some culture in your life. Or, I did. The other one that I saw was that apparently some people were complaining about the fact that it was so heavy on the Catholicism, and I'm like, it's called Midnight Mass.
It's called Midnight Mass.
What were you expecting? It's a show about Catholicism. It is literally a deconstruction of the religion and the fundamentalism of Catholicism. My God, you guys.
Oh my God, I know. I feel you. But yeah, this was our big Mike Flanagan special. I will make sure to post my article once it's out, so you can read even more about Mike Flanagan.
I will probably end up watching it again at some point. Oh, I will say the last thing, because I meant to mention this, what I think is what I also really love is this show in which there's a lot of discussion about like faith and like what happens when we die and all this sort of stuff. And like technically, yes, there is a supernatural element to the fact that there is a vampire. There is a literal fucking vampire.
Yeah.
Riley is quite literally prophetic. Like he is like he actively like in episode 4 because I walked in as Louis was watching this, like the scene with him on the couch and him talking about. He literally says, "I have this dream where I'm on this boat and I see the sunrise and I don't see it, but I never get any further than that. And like there's nothing waiting for me. I'm not getting off this island." And I was just sitting there going, "Shit, he really he knew. He actually did know.
He knew, yeah. I found that very interesting. I was like, I like this.
He's literally fucking prophetic.
He
which
is.
I think, considering the subject matter, is like,
yeah.
What are you saying here, Mike?
Yeah. I know. I really like it. But yeah,
it's good.
It is good. Watch Squid Game as well, please. That's my last message.
At some point, I'll get around to it.
You're not gonna regret it.
I'm not saying I will. I'm just sort of reluctant.
I know.
At this current moment in time, I might enjoy it more when I'm more interested in watching it. That's my thought process.
That's fair. I'm not gonna hype it up because I just had a discussion.
It's already been hyped up.
And yeah, it's. I didn't watch it because of the hype. I literally had it on my list because I was like, "Ooh, new Korean TV." That's me. And
it was like, very funny when I was at the Gans, we were watching to them after we'd finished our day of shooting.
Yeah.
And the Hellbound thing came up, and I went, "Lily's gonna be thrilled about this."
I was like,
and then I went on Twitter, like, there it is.
Yep, that's me. Yeah, I am a bit sad that we didn't get any Kingdom news. I was waiting for that. I'm gonna add that to the Doom talk.
The last thing I read was Wikipedia had a thing that they were developing another film for 2023.
Yes, for the Prince.
Oh, is it
Prince? Yeah,
good.
Be good. I know. I am excited for that, but I kind of want to see it close down. Maybe that's gonna be the closure.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I think they're probably because I also read that they went way over budget with season 2. I have a feeling that maybe they're a bit like, okay, this is done well, but also you spend too much fucking money.
Yep.
So if you want this to exist in a different form, we're gonna have to figure out a way for you to make it smaller.
Just a tiny bit. Yeah. And just once again, I will ask this until I get some news. Where is Lost in Space season 3? It's almost the end of the year and nothing came out.
They mentioned it very briefly. Point. It was like 1 second, like, wait, it's Lost in 3 season 3. It is coming, and then they didn't say anything else.
I was so frustrated by that. I was like,
I would prepare yourself for it not coming out this year, because that's the impression I'm getting.
I would be. I'm not gonna lie. I would be so frustrated by that. I would be like,
see, I feel like at this point it's October now.
It is. And nothing came out.
And they've said nothing. They've said absolutely nothing about it. Maybe they'll do like a really quick turnaround where they'll be like, "It's coming out this time." But I feel like maybe because I don't know how big of it like a release thing is it for them is the big question, because I know that obviously they've spent so much time making the second season of The Witcher. Like, it literally took over a year because of all the pandemic stuff, and obviously they had to keep shutting down. It took like literally, I think, over 1,000 days worth of shooting. So that when they finally at WitcherCon during July, they were like, "It's coming out in December," and I'm like, so far away. Really? It's been like 2 years. That they I think that is being set up. Like, the reason that they picked December was because the first season came out just before Christmas in December, and they're like making it their Christmas thing, right? It's like their big sort of thing over Christmas time. Because it did so well for them last time. That's probably when that's going to come out. And I'm wondering if they're thinking about their release schedule. If they want it to do well, maybe they're waiting for a space where it can come out and be like the thing that they release at that point. You know,
it's the last season, so just give it to me, please.
But
I'm already sad that it's ending. I love that show.
They did come out with a little teaser for the next season of The Umbrella Academy on October 1st,
which
is Margaret's birthday, as well as a very frightening video of Justin H. Min playing his new version of Ben. Very aggressive. Anyway, so they're officially doing Hotel Oblivion, which is very exciting.
Nice.
Which I figured they were going to be doing anyway, but they've like confirmed it in they did a little like animated thing. It was very cute. And then they were like, we confirmed a release date. They said 2022. Nobody was expecting it. If anybody was expecting it to come out this year, they're insane. Obvious it was going to come out next year. I'm not surprised. This is not a reveal of a release date.
Yeah.
This is just confirming something I already knew.
Fair. That's fair.
That's me done.
All right. I'm done as well. We're done. This
done.
was our first live stream, like proper live stream. We were live, guys. We were live. And then, yeah. We'll probably do it after Comic-Con as well because we won't have time to pre-record.
Sorry, I just got an email through saying that my next part of my Legend of Vox Machina Kickstarter thing has just been sent to me.
Oh,
I had the first half, and I think this is my my signed pilot script page with display case.
Oh, happy days. Then we are finishing on a happy note.
We will get around. We'll talk about that when it comes out, which should be soon. They're doing a little tease at NYCC this Friday,
Nice.
like a panel, and they're going to show like a clip.
Nice.
Very exciting. And also, new campaign starts at the end of the month, 21st of October. They're changing a bunch of stuff for them, like, and it's fine.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that's something else I started to watch.
Yeah, I know. Lila's joining our D&D game this week. What she did was she came into our little D&D Discord server and was like, hey, I started watching Critical Role. And I went, what? You started and you didn't tell me?
I'm sorry.
We don't need to do this here, but I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions about actually what you've been watching.
Okay, good. Sounds good. And you guys take care. Get vaccinated if you haven't yet, and hopefully I see a bunch of you at Comic-Con. That's the London Comic-Con. I know I will see Katie and Leanne, and that's great already. But just come in. It's gonna be fun, and we love you all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. I will stop. Yes, just do it. Just do it. Bye. Wait. Doing more. Bye.